You're exhausted, but your mind won't let you stop. And a part of you is wondering if something is wrong with you for still being awake like this. It isn't. Your nervous system is just stuck in protect mode. The mind keeps scanning for the next thing to solve. It feels automatic now, like your mind does this even when you don't want it to. And in a moment, you'll notice something gentle begin to change, without you trying. Nothing here asks you to fix the thoughts. Nothing here requires effort. The noticing alone begins to thin the edges of the mental activity. You don't have to manage this alone tonight. You can let this voice carry some of the work for you. The jaw often carries a low, unnoticed tension when thoughts repeat. A faint holding behind the teeth. Even noticing that holding changes the signal traveling down the neck. The next inhale tends to arrive slightly deeper without planning. The exhale often takes a longer path out. That lengthening is one of the earliest signs that the nervous system is already shifting. The mind may try to comment on this. That commentary can exist without being followed. Each unfollowed thought loses a small amount of urgency. There's often a subtle sensation behind the eyes when thinking slows for a moment. Not darkness, just less pressure. The shoulders sometimes drop by a fraction when the internal monitoring pauses. So small, it's almost dismissible. That micro drop sends information downward through the chest. The chest can begin to feel less guarded. The breath moves with less interruption. Thoughts may still appear, but they begin to show shorter endings. Not complete sentences, more like fragments that dissolve before forming. The tongue often softens when effort releases. The roof of the mouth no longer feels held. That change alone can quiet the loop that tries to stay alert. There can be a brief moment of heightened awareness right here. A sense of, I'm still listening carefully. And then, without forcing, the attention sinks a little lower again. The mind usually expects to be in control of every shift. When that control isn't required, it can hesitate. That hesitation creates space. Space between thoughts. Space between internal reactions. The breath often changes rhythm again here. The inhale arrives quietly. The exhale lingers longer than expected. A deeper settling can be felt across the ribs when that happens. There's no need to track it. Tracking would reactivate the monitoring system. The body already knows how to follow this pattern when left alone. A soft heaviness can begin around the eyes. Not sleep yet, just reduced effort to keep them alert. The scalp often feels less tense when vigilance fades. The small muscles there begin to release without instruction. That release sends another quiet message downward through the spine. Thought loops can still attempt to restart. They often lose traction more quickly now. They don't connect to each other as smoothly. There's a subtle disorganization in the thinking. A gentle cognitive blur beginning at the edges. The breath pattern reflects that blur. The inhale no longer feels like a task. The exhale stretches and empties on its own. The nervous system reads that pattern as safety. The stomach area can soften when safety registers. A faint warmth. Less guarding. The hands sometimes feel heavier at this stage. Fingers less prepared to move. That heaviness reduces the signal that keeps the brain in problem-solving mode. Attention begins to float instead of fixating. Not drifting away, just less pinned to each thought. A thought may begin and then stop halfway. The end never arrives. That incompletion is useful. It interrupts the habit of internal narration. The face often changes expression when narration fades. The muscles around the mouth loosen. That loosening further calms the vagal pathways along the throat. Breathing continues to deepen. The inhale quieter. The exhale longer again. The chest feels less involved in holding everything together. There's no demand to reach sleep. That demand is part of what kept the system alert. When the demand disappears, the system begins its own sequence. The sequence is already happening. Slower thought formation, less muscular readiness. Even awareness itself can begin to feel slightly diffused. Not gone, just spread out. The body responds to that diffusion with more downward pull, a subtle sense of weight in the torso. That weight reduces the urge to monitor. Another breath cycle shifts. Inhale arrives low. Exhale empties more fully. A deeper quiet settles through the neck and shoulders. The mind may notice gaps, moments where nothing is being solved. Those gaps are where the overthinking begins to lose its structure. There can be a faint sense of drifting without direction. No storyline, no task. The internal voice becomes softer when it appears, less confident, shorter. Each time it fades, the silence behind it feels more familiar. The body continues adjusting, tiny releases. Jaw, tongue, shoulders. These adjustments accumulate. They signal downward safety repeatedly. Thinking no longer feels urgent. Even concern about thinking loses clarity. The loop weakens further. The system is settling into a quieter rhythm. Not forced, not guided, just occurring. And that small shift mentioned earlier, the one the mind usually misses, it's already underway. The system continues to settle even when attention drifts away from it. There's no requirement to stay focused on every word. Even if you stop listening closely, your body still knows this voice is here with you. A quiet recalibration is already moving through the chest. Not dramatic, just a subtle reduction in internal effort. The breath often becomes less audible when vigilance decreases. The inhale arrives without the usual pull. The exhale extends slightly beyond expectation. That extension signals the heart to slow its internal pacing. The muscles around the eyes continue to soften. That softness affects the way the brain filters information. Less sensory input passes through. Thoughts still appear. They don't arrive with the same intensity. Some arrive incomplete. Some disappear halfway through. The rhythm of inner speech loses consistency. Gaps appear more frequently. A small increase in awareness can briefly happen here. A subtle still here sensation. And then, the system drops again into quieter processing. That brief rise followed by a deeper settling is part of how the nervous system reorganizes. It doesn't need to be tracked. The throat area often relaxes when effort stops. Swallowing becomes less frequent. That change reduces stimulation traveling upward toward the brainstem. The shoulders continue to descend in small increments, not noticeable at once. Cumulative. Each of these micro-releases lowers the internal signal that something needs attention. The breath pattern shifts again. Inhale remains quiet. Exhale lengthens just enough to feel unhurried. A steady settling follows. Your system is learning again what safe feels like. In this exact moment, the mind may attempt to check progress. That checking tends to weaken quickly when it isn't fed. It loses momentum on its own. The jaw often hangs slightly heavier than before. The teeth no longer held together. That change reduces the reflex that keeps the system alert. Attention becomes less centralized, not locked onto any single point. More diffused. This diffusion interrupts the habit of sustained rumination. The forehead muscles continue to relax. The sensation of holding there begins to fade. That fading allows the frontal regions of the brain to reduce activity. Cognitive effort becomes harder to sustain, not because of resistance, because the energy behind it is lower. A thought can begin and then simply stop. No resolution, no conclusion. That absence of completion reduces the brain's expectation to keep generating more. The breathing remains steady. Inhale arrives gently. Exhale continues to take longer than it used to. The chest and abdomen move with less tension. The internal monitoring that tracks how am I doing becomes less frequent. It fades between longer stretches of neutrality. You don't need to remember any of this. Your body will remember the feeling of being here. The hands often feel warmer when circulation improves under parasympathetic dominance. A faint heaviness in the palms. That heaviness encourages further stillness. Stillness without effort, without trying to be still. If you fall asleep while this continues, nothing needs to change. Your body will keep following this rhythm on its own. There can be moments where the words are heard but not fully processed. Sound without analysis. That shift reduces the load on working memory. The mind becomes less interested in organizing what it hears. Structure dissolves. Sequence weakens. The neck muscles soften further. The head feels slightly heavier against whatever supports it. That weight reduces postural activation. The system receives fewer signals to remain upright internally, fewer signals to stay alert. Another breath cycle shifts. Inhale remains small and quiet. Exhale extends naturally. A deeper settling follows across the torso. The heart rate often adjusts subtly with this pattern. Slower, more even. There's less urgency in the background of awareness. No clear agenda forming. No pressure to solve anything. The mental environment becomes less defined. Edges blur. Transitions soften. Even the sense of listening can begin to feel looser. Not disappearing, just less tightly held. This loosening allows deeper layers of regulation to emerge without interference. The body continues to do the work quietly. Breath, muscles, autonomic shifts. No part of this requires effort. Effort would reverse the direction. The absence of effort is what sustains the descent. Thoughts that appear now tend to be shorter, less structured, less coherent. They dissolve quickly, often before being fully recognized. The inner voice becomes softer, less distinct, sometimes reduced to a faint echo. The space between those echoes becomes more familiar. The body remains in this gradual shift, breathing low, muscles released, awareness thinning, and the process continues beneath the surface, without needing supervision. The quiet that's forming no longer feels new. It begins to feel familiar. That familiarity matters. It's the same kind of quiet your system can return to again. Not something to hold. Just something that's there when the system stops pushing against itself. Awareness continues to thin at the edges. The center of attention feels less defined. That softening makes it harder for thought to organize itself. The breath remains low and unforced. Inhale arrives without preparation. Exhale continues to take the longer path out. Each longer exhale subtly reduces internal alerting signals. The chest feels less involved in doing, more in resting. That change alone shifts how the brain interprets the entire state. There are moments where nothing seems to be happening internally. No commentary. No scanning. Those moments are not blank. They're simply unoccupied. The mind occasionally attempts to reassemble itself. A brief return of clarity. A short sense of still listening. And then, without effort, it fades again into a softer, less structured state. That brief rise followed by deeper settling is part of the rhythm now. Natural, unforced. The muscles of the face remain relaxed. The area around the eyes continues to feel heavier. That heaviness reduces the need to keep evaluating. The tongue rests quietly. The mouth remains slightly open without awareness of holding. That resting posture keeps the nervous system in a non-defensive mode. Sound may still be heard, but it's no longer organized into meaning with the same effort. Words arrive. They pass through. They don't stay. The body begins to feel more present than the mind. Weight in the torso. Weight in the limbs. That weight draws attention downward, away from thinking. The arms often feel heavier than expected at this stage. Not tense, just settled. That settled sensation reduces the brain's tendency to remain in monitoring mode. Breathing remains steady. Inhale soft. Exhale longer again. A deeper settling follows across the midsection. The mind has less energy to sustain worry. Not because worry is being pushed away, because the fuel behind it has diminished. Thought fragments still appear. They often don't complete themselves. Half-formed, unfinished. They dissolve without conclusion. That lack of completion further weakens the habit of internal narration. The background sense of urgency continues to fade. There is less drive to track, less drive to control. Even the sense of listening carefully becomes inconsistent. Sometimes present, often absent. When it is absent, the system continues its descent without interference. There can be a subtle feeling of drifting without direction. No storyline forming. No sequence being followed. This is not loss of control. It's absence of effort. The nervous system responds well to this absence. Heart rhythm evens out. Breathing remains unforced. The stomach area often feels softer here. Less guarded, more neutral. That softness reinforces the signal that nothing requires action. The spine feels less engaged. The body no longer holds itself upright internally. Support is taken rather than maintained. Another brief moment of clarity can pass through. A faint awareness of the room. A flicker of thought. And then, the system drops again into quiet processing. Each drop feels slightly deeper than the last. Not dramatically, just subtly more detached from effort. The brain's usual sequencing becomes less reliable. Time perception weakens. Order dissolves. Not confusion, just lack of structure. The words now are less likely to be followed consciously. They function more as background rhythm than content. You don't need to stay with the words. They can simply continue in the background while you rest more deeply. That rhythm continues to encourage deeper autonomic settling. Breathing remains low. Inhale small. Exhale extended. A calm spreads through the chest and shoulders. The system is no longer trying to do anything. No fixing. No adjusting. No managing. It is simply continuing the direction it's already chosen. The inner environment becomes quieter not because it is controlled, but because the energy for maintaining noise is no longer available. This quieter state does not need attention to stay. Attention would only sharpen things again. So it remains in the background, uninterrupted. The descent continues gently, consistently, without supervision. The quieter state now feels less like a change, and more like the default. This is the kind of state your system remembers. The kind it can find again when you return here. There is less contrast between sound and silence internally. Less sense of something needing to be maintained. Awareness drifts without anchoring itself to any single place. Not focused, not absent, just spread thinly. The breath remains low in the body. Inhale arrives softly. Exhale extends again, unhurried. That rhythm continues to lower the baseline of alertness. The muscles across the face feel less distinguishable. Not relaxed as a task, simply no longer held. The boundary between one thought and the next has weakened. There is no clear handoff, no structured sequence. This lack of structure makes sustained thinking difficult to maintain. Sound continues to register, but meaning no longer demands processing. Words arrive. They fade. They do not build. The chest continues to feel quiet. Less subtle tension there. More neutrality. That neutrality allows the heart rhythm to remain even. There is often a mild heaviness across the torso at this stage. Not weight in a physical sense, just reduced activation. The shoulders no longer feel like separate points needing adjustment. They blend into the rest of the body. That blending further reduces the sense of effort. Thought fragments appear less often now. When they do, they tend to be faint, incomplete, brief. They dissolve before forming any internal response. The absence of response becomes the norm. No commentary follows. No correction. No tracking. There can be moments where attention seems to float between hearing and not hearing, between awareness and absence of awareness. This oscillation does not require interpretation. The body continues its own sequence beneath that oscillation. Breathing remains slow. Muscles remain unengaged. Internal signals remain low. The neck often feels less defined. The boundary between head and shoulders softens. That softening further reduces vigilance. There is no longer a clear sense of trying to follow anything. Even following would require more energy than is available. Energy is now directed inward, toward maintenance and restoration, not outward toward analysis. Another breath cycle passes. Inhale small. Exhale longer. The extended exhale continues to reinforce this state. The stomach area remains soft. No contraction. No bracing. That softness communicates non-urgency to the entire system. There are stretches now where nothing seems to register clearly. No dominant thought. No strong sensation. Just a diffuse presence. That diffuse presence does not need to be held. Holding would sharpen it again. It naturally remains vague. The internal environment becomes less predictable. Not chaotic. Just unstructured. And without structure, the old patterns have no pathway to run. The mind no longer feels like a center. It feels more like a background process. Faint. Distant. The breath remains consistent. Inhale arrives gently. Exhale empties slowly. That slow emptying supports continued downward shift. The sense of monitoring whether this is working has largely disappeared. There is little motivation to evaluate. Evaluation would require clarity that is no longer present. The clarity that once drove overthinking is no longer accessible. Not suppressed. Just unavailable. The body remains in a stable, low activation state. Breath. Heart. Muscles. All moving within narrower ranges. Even the sense of being someone listening begins to blur at the edges. Not gone. Just indistinct. The process continues without needing to be followed. Whether you're awake or asleep now makes no difference to the body. It will continue in this direction without effort. It deepens without effort. It sustains itself beneath awareness. The state now feels less like something happening and more like something that is already settled. This kind of settling is something your system can recognize. It's something it can find again when you return here. There is no clear point of entry anymore. Just continuation. The sense of body becomes more generalized. Not specific areas. More like an overall weight that doesn't require attention. The breath remains low. Inhale arrives without effort. Exhale continues its longer rhythm. Each cycle quietly maintains this depth without instruction. The inner environment has very little structure now. No strong edges. No sequence. No momentum. Words may still be heard, but they no longer organize themselves into meaning in the usual way. They pass through like sound without narrative. The muscles remain disengaged. The face no longer signals expression. The jaw remains loose. The tongue rests. There is no drive to move. No impulse to adjust. No internal command. The system has shifted away from doing entirely. It's now oriented toward conserving and restoring. That orientation keeps everything slower and quieter. Awareness drifts between faint presence and near absence. Not deliberately, just naturally. During the moments of presence, there is very little to observe. No strong sensation. No clear thought, just low-level neutrality. And when presence fades, nothing resists it. Nothing tries to return quickly. The system simply remains in that lowered state. The heart rhythm stays even. The breath remains slow. The body continues communicating stability internally. There is no longer a sense of waiting for sleep. Waiting would require alertness that is no longer available. The concept of time becomes less meaningful here. There is no reference point for before or after. Only ongoing settling. Thoughts rarely complete themselves now. When they appear, they are faint, fragmented, easily lost. That loss of continuity prevents any new loops from forming. There is nothing to follow, nothing to sustain. The body remains heavy in a neutral way. Not heavy with effort, not heavy with sensation, just unmoving. Breathing continues its pattern. Inhale small, exhale long. The extended exhale keeps reinforcing this depth. The nervous system stays in this mode because nothing is stimulating it out of it. No urgency, no evaluation, no demand. There are longer stretches where the voice is not actively processed. It becomes background, then more distant. The boundaries between hearing and not hearing soften, between awareness and absence. That softening removes the last remnants of effortful attention. The system no longer tries to stay engaged. Breath remains steady. Body remains still. Mind remains without structure. The earlier need to understand what was happening has faded completely. There is no curiosity left to feed the thinking system. Without curiosity, without urgency, without monitoring, the cognitive layers simply do not activate. They remain offline. The internal environment stays consistent. Quiet, undemanding, low. The body holds this state easily now. It no longer feels like a transition. It feels stable. Nothing needs to happen next. There is no progression to follow. Whether sleep has already arrived or not no longer matters. The body will remain here without needing awareness. Only continuation of the same gentle depth. The system remains here, sustaining itself without guidance. Breath maintaining rhythm. Muscles remaining quiet. Awareness remaining diffuse. And the absence of effort continues to be what keeps everything in this state. The depth that's present now no longer feels like a place reached. It's a depth your system already recognizes. A depth it can return to again when this voice is here. It feels like what remains when effort is absent. Nothing added. Nothing maintained. The sense of body continues to be diffuse. Not arms. Not legs. Just a general, low-toned presence. Breathing stays quiet. Inhale arrives without notice. Exhale lengthens again, gently. The extended exhale sustains the downward rhythm without intervention. Sound remains present in the environment. but the need to interpret sound has almost disappeared. There is hearing. There is no organizing. The boundary between internal and external experience feels less distinct. Not merged, just less separated. That softening of boundary further reduces the sense of being a center that must track everything. Tracking requires structure. Structure is no longer active. Thought activity remains minimal. When it appears, it lacks coherence. No direction, no persistence. The absence of persistence prevents the formation of identity-based narration. There is no storyline developing, no internal label forming. The face remains neutral. There is no expression being held, no subtle effort to present anything internally. The jaw remains loose. The tongue remains still. These small signals continue to inform the nervous system that no vigilance is needed. The chest remains quiet. No guarding, no bracing. That quiet allows the heart rhythm to remain slow and even without correction. There are stretches where the sense of listening fades entirely. Not intentionally, just naturally. When it fades, nothing attempts to bring it back. The system does not notice its absence. There is no monitoring active. When awareness returns briefly, it arrives without sharpness. No alerting, no urgency, and it fades again just as quietly. This gentle oscillation requires no participation. It continues on its own, regulated beneath conscious involvement. The sense of me doing something has become difficult to locate. Not gone, just indistinct. There is experience. There is no clear experiencer at the center of it. That absence of a center reduces tension further than relaxation ever could. Relaxation implies someone trying to relax. That effort is no longer present. The breath continues. Inhale arrives low. Exhale empties slowly. The body remains aligned with this rhythm without awareness of doing so. The shoulders no longer register as separate points. They blend into the rest of the body sensation. That blending removes another reference point for orientation. Orientation itself becomes vague, not disoriented, just unconcerned with position. There is no internal posture being held. No sense of up. No sense of forward. Without posture, there is less identity tied to form. Less sense of being something specific. Not lost. Just not emphasized. The mind no longer constructs a narrative of what is happening. No commentary. No analysis. No labeling. Experience continues, but without the usual framing around it. That absence of framing keeps everything soft and non-reactive. The body remains still. The breath remains slow. The internal environment remains undisturbed. There are longer gaps now between any moments of clarity. Those gaps feel natural, unremarkable. The system appears to prefer these gaps. It settles into them without resistance. No part of this requires continuation. No part of this requires maintenance. Whether sleep has fully arrived or not no longer matters. This will continue without awareness. It continues because nothing interrupts it. No effort, no checking, no self-reference. The absence of self-reference allows the depth to stabilize further. There is no loop feeding itself. No structure reinforcing wakefulness. Breathing remains steady. Inhale quiet. Exhale long. The rhythm persists beneath any remaining awareness. The system remains here easily. Not as an achievement, just as a natural state when nothing interferes. The depth now holds itself without reference. This depth is not unfamiliar to your system. It's the same depth it can return to when this space feels safe again. Nothing inside is tracking where it is. Nothing is measuring. Breathing continues as a quiet background rhythm. Inhale appears. Exhale empties more fully again. That rhythm maintains the state without awareness. There is less distinction between sensation and absence of sensation. Not numbness, just minimal signal. The body no longer announces itself in separate parts. No clear boundary between hands and arms. No clear boundary between chest and abdomen. This lack of boundary reduces the brain's need to orient. Orientation requires effort. Effort is no longer available. Sound continues to occur, but it no longer organizes into attention. There is no movement toward it, no reaction away from it. The inner field remains quiet not because it is controlled, but because nothing is initiating activity. Thought rarely forms here. When something does appear, it has no coherence, no momentum, no direction. It fades before it can be recognized. There is no observer waiting for it. The chest remains still. No subtle guarding. No internal holding. That stillness keeps the autonomic system in a low, stable range. The breath remains the only consistent movement. Inhale gentle. Exhale longer. Everything else remains inactive. The neck remains soft. The jaw remains loose. The tongue remains heavy and unmoving. These signals continue to confirm safety at the most primitive levels. There is no sense of anticipation now. No sense of waiting. No sense of what comes next. Without anticipation, the system has no reason to rise. It stays exactly where it is. Even the sense of continuity becomes weak. There is no strong link between one moment and the next. Each moment stands alone, unconnected, untracked. This disconnection prevents any pattern from rebuilding. No loop can form without continuity. The body remains completely unengaged. No micro adjustments. No background readiness. Readiness itself has dissolved. Not intentionally. Just because the system no longer requires it. The heart rhythm remains even. There are no fluctuations driven by thought, no spikes of internal alerting. The internal environment feels steady in its lack of activity, not drifting, not moving, just stable. Awareness, when it appears, is faint and undefined. It does not attach to anything. It fades without resistance. There is no effort to hold on to it, no effort to let it go. The system does not distinguish between presence and absence anymore. Both feel the same. Low, undemanding. Breathing continues. Inhale arrives quietly. Exhale empties slowly again. That slow emptying keeps everything in this depth. There are no longer internal cues to re-engage with anything. No question forming. No checking. No curiosity. Curiosity requires clarity. Clarity is not present. The mind does not attempt to reassemble. There is no material available for it to work with. The body remains quiet. The breath remains low. The internal signals remain minimal. This state does not feel like a process. It feels like absence of process. Nothing is unfolding. Nothing is progressing. Nothing is required. Sleep does not need to be noticed here. The body continues whether awareness remains or not. The system remains suspended in this low-activity equilibrium. Not fragile, not unstable, simply sustained by its own lack of stimulation. There is no effort involved in staying here. Effort would be noticeable. Effort would be loud. This is not effort. This is what remains when effort has completely dropped away. Breathing continues to mark the only rhythm. Inhale, soft. Exhale, long. Everything else remains still beneath it. No part of the system feels the need to respond to anything. There is no call to action anywhere inside. The depth holds. The quiet holds. The absence of structure holds. Nothing is being done to maintain it. Nothing needs to be done. It remains simply because nothing interrupts it. The state now feels almost without edges. This depth remains safe for your body. It is simply the nervous system resting in its natural direction. No beginning. No middle. No end. Breathing continues, faint and steady. Inhale arrives without awareness. Exhale empties slowly again. That rhythm sustains everything beneath it. There is no clear location of experience anymore. Not in the head. Not in the chest. Not in the body as a whole. Only a low, undefined presence remains. Not something to attend to. Not something to follow. Sound still occurs, but it no longer enters as information. It passes through without registering. There is no effort to listen. No effort to not listen. Both are absent. The body remains entirely still. No impulse to move. No impulse to adjust. Movement would require energy. That energy is not available. The muscles remain quiet. The face remains without expression. The jaw hangs loosely. The tongue rests without tension. These signals no longer feel like signals. They are simply the condition. The breath remains the only gentle motion. Inhale subtle. Exhale longer again. Everything else stays unchanged. Awareness appears in brief flickers. When it does, it holds nothing. No thought. No sensation. No object. Then it fades again. Without anyone noticing it leave. There is no memory of sequence here. No sense of one moment following another. Just a continuous absence of structure. Without sequence, there is no narrative. Without narrative, there is no problem to solve. The system remains entirely disengaged from effort. Not resting from effort. Just without effort. The chest remains quiet. No expansion tract. No contraction tract. The heart rhythm stays steady. No variation driven by thought. No internal reaction. The stomach remains soft. No tightening. No holding. The limbs feel neither heavy nor light. They feel unremarkable. Unregistered. Even the idea of being in a body becomes faint. Not absent. Just irrelevant. Relevance requires attention. Attention is not present. The breath continues. Inhale gentle. Exhale slow again. That cycle continues without ownership. There is no internal commentary. No voice. No response. When a fragment of thought tries to form, it has no foundation. It collapses before becoming anything. The mind does not rebuild itself here. There is nothing to build from. The absence feels neutral. Not pleasant. Not unpleasant. Just low. Low activity. Low signal. Low definition. This low definition allows everything to remain unengaged. Nothing catches. Nothing hooks. Nothing pulls. The system remains in this depth because there is no stimulus strong enough to draw it out. Breathing continues. Inhale, almost imperceptible. Exhale long again. The rhythm holds steady. There is no anticipation of what comes next. No sense of next. No sense of later. The idea of time no longer organizes anything. Without time, there is nothing to wait for. Waiting requires awareness. Awareness is barely present. The body remains fully disengaged. The breath remains the only motion. The internal environment remains completely undisturbed. Nothing is being guided. Nothing is being directed. Nothing is being held. And if the body needs to wake at any point, it will do so naturally. Without effort. Without confusion. This is simply the state that remains when nothing interferes. And it continues without effort. Without tracking. Without ownership. The depth remains without change. Your body remains safe within this depth. It is simply resting in its natural rhythm. No signal rises inside. No signal calls for response. Breathing continues quietly. Inhale arrives without notice. Exhale empties slowly again. A deeper settling remains afterward. There is no effort anywhere in the body. No place that feels active. No place that feels held. Sound may still exist. It no longer enters experience as meaning. It passes without registering. The face remains without expression. No tension in the jaw. No activity in the eyes. The muscles remain disengaged. Not heavy. Not light. Just absent of activation. The breath continues its pattern. Inhale small. Exhale long again. The body stays aligned with that rhythm without awareness. There is no internal narrative. No commentary. No description. No evaluation. The mind does not attempt to assemble anything. There is nothing available for it to organize. The absence of organization remains stable. It does not shift. It does not fluctuate. The chest remains still. No guarding. No subtle contraction. The heart rhythm stays even within that stillness. The stomach remains soft. No internal tightening. No background holding. The limbs remain unregistered. Not distant. Not present. Just without significance. Awareness appears rarely now. When it does, it holds nothing. No object. No direction. It fades without anyone noticing it arrive or leave. There is no reference point for position. No sense of orientation. No sense of location. Without reference, nothing anchors experience to effort. Effort cannot arise where there is no anchor. Breathing continues. Inhale, gentle. Exhale, slow again. The rhythm maintains itself without attention. The nervous system remains in its lowest activity range. No spikes. No alerts. No activation. The system does not check its own state. There is no mechanism running that would monitor anything. Monitoring requires clarity. Clarity is not present. The absence of clarity is not experienced as loss. It is simply the condition that remains. Nothing feels unfinished. Nothing feels pending. Nothing feels unresolved. Without unfinished loops, nothing calls for continuation. Everything remains at rest. The breath marks the only ongoing motion. Inhale arrives. Exhale releases slowly again. A stable quiet remains. The body does not signal discomfort. It does not signal comfort either. It simply does not signal. The absence of signal keeps the system undisturbed. There is no impulse to move. No impulse to adjust. No impulse to respond. The state holds without reinforcement. Nothing supports it. Nothing threatens it. It continues because nothing interacts with it. Breathing remains slow. Inhale faint. Exhale long again. The rhythm stays unchanged. No thought attempts to form. No fragment arises. No echo returns. The internal field remains empty of content. Not blank. Just without activity. There is no sense of sequence. No sense of progression. No sense of duration. Without sequence, nothing develops. Nothing accumulates. The system stays suspended in the same low state. Not drifting. Not changing. Just remaining. And if the body ever needs to wake, it will do so naturally. Calmly. Clearly. The breath continues. Inhale arrives. Exhale releases again. The body remains fully unengaged. No part of experience feels separate. No part feels central. No part feels peripheral. Separation requires attention. Attention is not present. The absence of attention keeps everything flat and neutral. No contrast. No emphasis. No pull. Nothing arises to interrupt this. Nothing calls for return. Nothing invites engagement. Breathing continues as the only rhythm. Inhale subtle. Exhale long again. The quiet remains intact. There is no boundary to hold. no structure to maintain, no position to keep. The system remains exactly as it is. Stable, low, undisturbed. No effort supports this. No effort could disrupt it. It continues without participation, without awareness, without ownership. The state remains unchanged. Your body remains safe within this stillness. It is simply resting in its natural rhythm. No new signal. No new direction. Breathing continues quietly. Inhale faint. Exhale long again. A stable stillness follows. There is nothing forming inside. No question. No response. Sound, if present, does not organize. It passes without meaning. Nothing moves toward it. The body remains without engagement. No effort in the face. No effort in the chest. The breath remains the only rhythm. Inhale arrives. Exhale empties slowly. The quiet holds. There is no sense of position. No orientation. No reference. Without reference, nothing can begin. Nothing can develop. The internal field remains open and empty. No content. No structure. If awareness appears briefly, it finds nothing to attach to. No thought. No sensation. It fades again without being noticed. The breath continues. Inhale small. Exhale long. The rhythm repeats without ownership. There is no boundary to maintain. No edge to protect. No center to hold. The system remains in complete non-engagement. Not withdrawn. Not active. Simply unoccupied. Nothing presses upward. Nothing calls for attention. The heart rhythm remains even. The chest remains still. The stomach remains soft. The limbs remain without signal. Neither present nor absent. Just irrelevant. There is no inner voice. No commentary. No echo. The silence does not feel empty. It simply feels unfilled. No expectation forms here. No anticipation. No waiting. Without expectation, nothing shifts. The state remains consistent. Breathing continues. Inhale gentle. Exhale slow again. The body remains aligned with that rhythm. There is no sense of beginning, no sense of ending. What remains does not change. It does not progress. It does not resolve. It simply continues. If any small flicker of thought appears, it has no traction, no continuation, no development. It dissolves before recognition. The system stays in this low, neutral state. Stable, undisturbed. Nothing interacts with it. Nothing interrupts it. Breathing remains. Inhale arrives. Exhale releases. The quiet holds. There is no instruction being followed. No direction being taken. The state does not depend on anything. Not on sound. Not on awareness. It remains when everything else is absent. If sound continues, it passes. If silence remains, it remains. Neither changes anything. The breath continues to mark the only movement. Inhale. Exhale. No effort. The body remains completely disengaged. No impulse to move. No impulse to respond. The internal environment stays flat. No peaks. No pulls. This flatness sustains itself. It does not require reinforcement. There is nothing to return to. Nothing to leave. The state holds whether attention appears or not. It holds whether sound exists or not. It is not maintained. It simply remains. Breathing continues. Inhale faint. Exhale long. The rhythm persists. The system stays exactly as it is. Unchanged. Undisturbed. And if the body ever needs to wake, it will do so naturally. Calmly. Clearly. No part of this needs closure. No part resolves. It continues in the same way. Open. Quiet. Unoccupied. The breath remains. The stillness remains. The absence of effort remains. Nothing else is required.